New York, January 2009. It was a literal impact, right in the sky. Hundreds of Canada geese slammed into the windshield of the Airbus A320 like moths to a flame. Both jet engines and the aircraft's entire electrical system shut down completely. With no power left, the large commercial plane began diving straight toward the financial heart of Manhattan. In one of the most high-pressure moments imaginable, the captain ignored all suggestions from air traffic control. He made a bold, dangerous decision to land the plane on a river. What would happen next? To find out, fasten your seatbelt and join us aboard U.S. Airways Flight 1549, January 15, 2009, LaGuardia Airport, New York City. It was a busy afternoon at one of America's largest airports. The Airbus A320 was being fueled and prepped for its routine journey to Charlotte Douglas Airport in North Carolina. This aircraft model was the second best-selling in aviation history, a hallmark of Airbus. The A320 was equipped with two powerful General Electric CFM56 jet engines and a host of advanced features. That day, 150 passengers boarded the flight, most of them American citizens. Manning the aircraft were 5 crew members, 3 flight attendants, and 2 pilots in the cockpit. The captain was Chesley Sully Sullenberger, 57, a former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot who had flown the F-4 Phantom. He was also an aviation safety expert with 19,667 total flight hours, 4,765 of those specifically on the A320. Sully was a top academic achiever with one of the highest IQs globally. He held a bachelor's degree in psychology and basic science from the U.S. Air Force Academy and 2 master's degrees from prestigious universities. His co-pilot, Jeffrey Skiles, 49, was an experienced aviator with 27,127 total flight hours, though he had only logged 37 hours on the A320. At 3:24 p.m., after completing all protocols, Captain Sully radioed ground control. "This is 1549. We're ready." 1549, runway 4R, good evening. With clearance given, the Airbus rolled out and took off from runway 4R. The co-pilot was at the controls while Sully managed communications and oversight. Climbing to 700 feet, they were cleared to ascend to their cruising altitude of 15,000 feet. The autopilot was engaged, and everyone on board settled in for a smooth flight. No one on board had any idea disaster was silently approaching. Flying toward them from the opposite direction was a massive flock of geese, hundreds of them, migrating from Canada to Florida or the Caribbean to escape the winter cold. Each goose weighed between 3 to 9 pounds. Bird strikes, or collisions with natural airborne objects, are a pilot's nightmare. Though they may seem harmless, birds can severely damage engines from the inside. Even though aircraft are built with durable materials, a large flock of birds can be catastrophic. A notable example occurred on October 4, 1960, when Eastern Airlines Flight 375 struck a flock of European starlings. All 4 engines failed, and the plane crashed into Boston Harbor, killing 62 people. Back to Flight 1549. Typically, geese fly at about 1,500 meters, but that day, for some unfortunate reason, they were flying much lower, about half that. No warning sounds, no alarms. The birds were like invisible bullets, aiming for an unsuspecting target. 3:27 p.m. The Airbus A320 was flying at 820 meters, traveling at 360 km/h, approximately 7.2 kilometers northwest of LaGuardia Airport. At that moment, it collided directly with a flock of Canada geese. The large birds smashed into the windshield like living arrows. Their dense feathers and heavy bodies tore into the jet engines like a storm. Almost instantly, the engine compressors were severely damaged. Both engines, some of the most reliable in aviation, lost all thrust. The plane began to slow and lose altitude. In the cabin, the smell of fuel and burnt bird flesh filled the air. Flight attendants rushed to calm passengers and instructed everyone to remain seated. Within seconds, the electrical systems failed completely. The situation had become critical. Captain Sully immediately took control of the aircraft. He activated the APU, the auxiliary power unit, and radioed air traffic control. At the same time, co-pilot Skiles initiated the fire suppression system and followed the engine restart checklist, trying to revive at least one engine. Starting the APU early proved crucial. Systems like lighting, ventilation, communication, and other electronics came back online. At LaGuardia's control tower, Air Traffic Controller Patrick Harton immediately ordered all takeoffs and landings halted to clear the airspace. Emergency crews, ambulances, and fire trucks were deployed to standby locations. Despite the chaos, Sully remained calm. He evaluated all available options, but the aircraft was flying directly above New York City. Any decision carried consequences, not only for the 155 people on board, but for millions on the ground. Sully realized the aircraft was losing altitude too quickly. Returning to LaGuardia was impossible. Aviation theory states that without engine power, turning back consumes more altitude than flying straight. He remembered his years flying the F-4 Phantom, a jet capable of water landings. Then came the bold idea: land on the Hudson River. The Hudson River runs along the west side of Manhattan, stretching north to south. Sully estimated they'd need at least 2,000 meters of flat surface to land. If he could bring the plane down on its belly and keep the fuselage aligned with the water, the risk of skidding and explosion would drop significantly. "We're gonna be in the Hudson," he calmly told the tower. The control room fell silent. It was a decision unlike anything they had ever heard. The military, police, and rescue units were scrambled immediately. LaGuardia proposed rerouting to Teterboro Airport in nearby New Jersey. Sully considered it. He could even see the runway. But with their current altitude and glide path, he knew they wouldn't make it in time. "Unable. Too low. Too dangerous," Sully replied. At 3:29 p.m., Flight 1549 disappeared from radar. The control tower issued a Level 1 emergency alert. Helicopters and rapid response units were dispatched within seconds. The Airbus A320 skimmed past the George Washington Bridge at an altitude of just 270 meters. Down below, the Hudson River buzzed with ferries and cargo ships. Miraculously, the waterway was clear at the critical moment. Now the lives of 155 people rested in the hands of one man, Captain Chesley Sullenberger. He made an announcement over the intercom. "This is the captain. Brace for impact. Stay calm. Follow the crew's instructions. Believe in me. We will survive." In the cockpit, he activated collision alerts, adjusted the flaps to level 2 for drag reduction, and angled the nose perfectly for a water landing. The emergency water landing switch was flipped. Belly valves, pressure valves, electronic doors, and ventilation ducts were all sealed to prevent water from flooding in. 3:30 p.m. Just 3 minutes after the bird strike, the aircraft struck the Hudson River at a speed of 240 km/h. The sound was like thunder cracking through the sky, but it was a flawless landing. The aircraft remained afloat, partially due to unburned fuel. However, the tail section cracked and water began to seep in. Captain Sully left the cockpit immediately and ordered an evacuation. 4 emergency exits were opened and inflatable slides deployed. Passengers donned life vests and followed instructions from co-pilot Skiles and flight attendants Donna Dent and Sheila Dale. Outside, the temperature was 7 degrees, 19 degrees. Some passengers jumped into the river to escape and immediately went into cold shock, nearly freezing on contact. Within just 4 minutes, New York rescue boats and NY waterway ferries arrived. First responders dove into the frigid water to pull passengers out one by one. Water flooded more than half the fuselage. Captain Sully remained on board, inspecting every cabin to ensure no one was left behind. Only after confirming all were safe did he return to the cockpit, retrieve the flight logs, and step onto a rescue boat. The fire department issued a Level 3 emergency. A total of 36 ambulances were standing by. And then came the miracle. All 155 people survived. Only 15 sustained minor injuries. The most serious case was a flight attendant with a fractured leg. But the drama didn't end there. While the media hailed Sully as the hero of the Hudson, the crew was summoned to testify. Some questioned whether landing in the river was reckless or unnecessary. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, ran simulations and claimed that returning to LaGuardia or diverting to Teterboro was technically possible. In nearly 24 simulations in France, more than half succeeded in turning back. Sully fought back. That's a simulation. In real life, no one gives you a 10-second warning. No one counts down like a computer. We weren't trained for this situation, yet everyone survived. His words silenced the entire hearing. Ultimately, the NTSB concluded that Captain Sully had made the right decision under extreme conditions. He was recognized as a true hero. The landing was declared the most successful emergency water landing in commercial aviation history. The Airbus A320 was later placed in a museum. On December 2, 2021, President Joe Biden appointed Captain Sully as the U.S. Ambassador to the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. And from that day forward, when people mention Flight 1549, they remember not only a brave captain, but a united flight crew, composed passengers, and fearless rescuers. Without them all, the miracle on the Hudson may never have happened. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next one.